And welcome to the 23rd episode of the Odyssey Hour. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill, as always. So this week is a little different. Sam and Lauren could not be here tonight for various reasons, of which we will not get into. So I have added and invited two of my great paranormal investigative friends, Miss Kim Juarez and Becky B. I'm only going to say B because I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Bicknese? Is that
Bicknese? Yeah, you had it.
Becky Bicknese. There you go. From Bluff Country Paranormal, and obviously Kim from CAT Paranormal. Obviously, we have a bunch of crossover fans there, Kim.
Yep. Sounds about right.
Including you and me.
Yes. Yeah. So we do a lot of that.
So how is everybody doing? Good? Okay. Yeah. We're vocal tonight. I like that. So, all right. So we are going to jump right into it. And I told Becky before the show that I was going to make her go first because I know she doesn't want to. So that entertains me. So the first topic tonight, now obviously anybody who has watched, obviously you both have seen the show, so you know kind of how we do things. Everybody kind of gets their chance to state their opinion or answer the question. And so we're going to go. So Becky, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, so my question tonight is, it has to do with, we run into it a lot with our team of, we'll have a business that'll have us come in, and some of them, they just want to, if we do happen to find some evidence, they are very much loud and proud about it. And then there's other businesses that are very quiet and secretive about it. What is your guys' feel and take from different people of what does saying that your building is haunted or has some paranormal activity, do you feel like it would hurt somebody's business?
Kim, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, so Becky, I think my opinion is yes, it does. So that's why there's a lot, and I've done a lot of businesses here in just the area that I live in, and it does affect them. So they're afraid. A lot of them are afraid, and then there's some that are like full blown open and saying, "Hey, guess what? Our place is haunted. We already knew this," and blah blah blah. So we've done the Waseca courthouse here, and we were not allowed to speak of it. We weren't allowed to say that we went in and did a full-blown investigation. And we found out later that we end up finding out that they were talking about it way before we were. And, you know, we were just blown away, and then we were allowed to say it afterwards, after they kind of did all that. So
Kim, sorry to interrupt. When did you do the courthouse investigation?
Oh, well, this was a while back ago. Not yet, Mike.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Because I find it interesting that you've been promising me the courthouse investigation with you guys
for
like 2 years now, and all of a sudden you're like, Well, when we did the courthouse, we weren't allowed to say anything.
We weren't. We were not, and it does. I guess it does affect in a sense. And some of the businesses, like let's say restaurants and bars and stuff, they don't want nothing to do with it because they don't want people not coming, to their restaurant or to their bar. So there was a lot of hush. There is a lot of hush hush, and it really sucks though. And that point, that they do that. But
I don't know if I can trust you anymore.
I didn't do it. I would be on it. Seriously. I'm no question in the doubt. If I had a big business, I would definitely ask you to come along, Big Guns. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. All right. Haley, Scott.
I guess that it depends on the business. And also, like, if you think about it from our perspective, if a place is is investigated, then they could bring in more investigators who want to come investigate it, maybe do an event there, so that could help your business. I don't know if I'm answering the question correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, so I'd say maybe it depends on the business. There could be some places where it would be harmful for it to be haunted, and others where maybe that could be some sort of attraction.
Okay. Scott?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think it totally depends on the business and the people who own it and run it. Some people don't want anything to do with that sort of thing, don't want any evidence of that. Others would get angry with us, I think, if we went in and found no evidence when they wanted us to. If they advertise that they're haunted and we don't find any evidence of it. And some have a side business of doing ghost tours, like the bar over by my niece's house in Baraboo, Wisconsin. That place advertises that they're haunted and wants people to come in and do investigations. So it just depends on the place and the people who run it and what they're trying to promote.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% agree with you. Like that was my first thing was depends on the business. If they run a hotel, something like that, like the St. James Hotel in Red Wing, something like that is known to be a haunted location. It may freak some people out, but then they're going to get the guests in there that want to stay in the most haunted rooms. Let's look at the Palmer House. Right. I mean, that place gets by because it's known to be haunted. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to go to, let's say Four Paws restaurant, that used to be here in is it St. Paul? Is it St. Paul or Minneapolis? It's one the Twin Cities.
St. Paul, I think.
St. Paul. Not a lot of people knew that it was supposedly haunted. Like you had to really kiss some ass to get in there. And now it's closed. So, nobody's getting in there. But I think they're one of those places that, yeah, it had the rumors, it had the investigations, but they don't really talk about it. They don't shy away from it, but it's not like they advertise it like they have a sign that says, come here for the surf and turf and the ghosts. Although that would be pretty sweet, actually. But, let's look at Glen Sheen. Glen Sheen has got decades worth of claims and stories, and they won't let anybody in to investigate. They won't let I think now they've loosened it where you could talk about the hauntings, but before they wouldn't even let their tour guides discuss it.
No. They were summers ago when I was up there, they wouldn't discuss it on the tour, but you could talk to the tour guide after the tour had concluded.
Well, yeah. And they've changed that too, because now it's like a self-guided tour. So now they just put tour guides in each room, and then like they all rotate, and like they just stand there to ask questions, and that's it. But I talked to a few of them about it when I did the tour like 2.5 years ago or whatever. But, and that's not so much that they're not interested in it, but
Mm-hmm.
out of respect for the family, obviously, you know, they won't let anybody in. So, I mean, if you went to the Irvin, and
Right.
I tell this story only because I want to strangle the team that did it, like harshly, but they actually gave them, the Irvin, like a certificate and a plaque to put on the wall that says they certified this location as haunted. And yes, that's exact. Yeah. It's okay to react that way because that's the way everybody should. um, so yeah.
And I also want to point out too, now employees also will do investigations where the owners will do investigations where the employees don't know about it. So, and because they don't want issues, but they know things are happening in their business. And so a lot of the employees are not really up to par with us going in to investigate. So we have to be careful with that as well. So, I mean, that's why they don't want to say anything or do anything. And if we can help, we can help. And if not, they just, but they don't want their employees to know that we've done an investigation. So we've even gone through that. So
Yeah. And I think Scott made a very good point about like owners being angry with you if you don't find anything. And again, that's why that has to do with why you're being called in. If you're being called in because they want to advertise this, their location as a haunted place, then yeah, they're going to be a little peeved if you don't find anything. And you're like, we don't think there's anything here. But if you're being called in to a place because they don't want anything, but they want proof one way or the other, I mean, I think that I don't think they'll get mad at you for not finding anything. I think they'll probably be more relieved than anything.
right.
But yeah, but I mean, you have to watch those people, the ones that call you in because they're like, oh, we're worried about what's going on here. We just want proof, one way or the other. And then if you find something, then all of a sudden there's big marquees out there saying, ghost here, come on in. We're charging you $250 a night. And that's actually happened to me where my team investigated a theater down in Cresco, Iowa. And we were the only ones that had done it in like 5 years and the second team ever. And then we got to do it again a couple months later or whatever. But after that, since it was owned by the city, because of our investigations and because of the evidence that we had presented to them, they wanted to open it up to other teams and charge people and make money off of it. So, I mean, that wasn't even the original goal, but as soon as somebody figured out that they could make some ka-ching, everything changed. So, Becky, what about you? I mean, how does your team handle that?
I was gonna say it really depends on what the person wants. I mean, whoever contacts us, we do whatever their wishes are. I mean, we had one bar that was very open and they posted it on their Facebook page and our evidence, and they were like all in love with it. And then we had another bar in another town that they wanted it very hush hush. They didn't want anybody to know that we were coming, which we didn't find anything at that location. So, I mean, it wasn't a big deal. But generally, even when somebody starts talking to me and they're like saying that this is going on and that's going on and stuff, a lot of times we'll be like, well, if you really want answers, we can come in and do an investigation. Oh no, we don't want that to happen because it'll wreck our business. So, it's just I just was curious what you guys thought one way or the other, because I mean, if you're doing the investigation and you're a trustworthy group that's not going to talk about it, it shouldn't be an issue to have somebody come in.
Well, I think that that's something that all three of our teams do is we offer the confidentiality.
Right.
You don't want anybody to know that we are coming in. Nobody's going to know that we are coming in. It even gets to the point where like, I won't even post, we have an investigation at all.
Nope.
We'll come in, we'll do it. We'll do our thing. You decide. And we do that with all of our clients. I mean, regardless, but they are in charge of what gets released If they don't want anything
Right.
released, nothing gets released. So, and I think that's good. I think that's very good, not only for us, but just the integrity of the field and for the clients that hire us or request our help. All right, Kim, guest go first. So why don't you dazzle us?
So my topic is becoming a demonologist. Do you think there's courses that are out there? Because I asked Alexa, my trustworthy, oh, there she goes off. I said, is there any courses in demonology? And she said, yes. So I want to know, how validated is this? What do you guys think?
I'm going to go last. Just like always. Becky, why don't you go ahead?
So I can honestly say I have never dove into the demonology stuff. Just being of a strong Christian background, that's something that, once you know it's there, you don't play with it. Yeah. So I guess if you're going to be looking for something, if you want more knowledge on it, I guess I would go to like a Michelle Bellinger type of book or something like that. I don't know if I would take any quacks course just to.
And there's so many of them. I was like, is this real?
Bella J, Becky.
Bellinger, sorry.
Bella J. There we go.
My bad. So that's all I have on that.
Okay. I have never even heard demonology put together.
Demonologist?
Personally. No, I didn't know that was a thing.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
brand new information for me. But my initial thought was like, I'm assuming those courses probably aren't too trustworthy. I guess if that is something you're looking into, do your research, as you should with really anything before you dive into it or pay any sort of money or whatever. Yeah. I don't have much to add on that one.
Scott, this is kind of a little bit more up your alley.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think there are courses out there, but with the theology schools that I've attended, there was no specific demonology course. What studies we did about demonology were covered in just general doctrine, and general theology courses. I've seen things about angelology, which would also cover demons. But specifically demonology, no. It's at least from a theological point of view, we don't know that much. In particular, and especially if you're looking at scripture, there's not a whole lot in there about them.
Right.
So with people who are talking about demons and angels and devils and whatever else, I don't know where they're coming up with most of their information. Because it's not from theology schools and it's not from scripture. So any kind of course or book of any kind about that, I take kind of tongue in cheek.
Right.
No. But I still think it's an interesting study. I just don't trust a lot of the information that's out there.
Right. Right.
I actually had an investigator once came out, and she was balancing, I guess, the her learning how to investigate with me, and her exorcism courses. So apparently she was going to school to become an exorcist. And every time she tried to tell me about it, I just had to laugh because it was terrible. You know, I know they're out there. The thing that I would recommend and wholeheartedly suggest, who's doing the course.
Right.
You know, if it's, you know, I'm just going to use an example, Kim. If it's Kim Juarez from CAT Paranormal, probably not. Now, if it's Bishop James Long, who does do those courses, who has, you know, who is an actual minister, who is an exorcist, who has, you know, a decade or two of experience doing this work, then yes, you can trust that he's not going to let anybody go out there who doesn't actually know what the hell they're doing.
Right.
And it's not like demonology 101 and, you know, come for 2 Saturdays at the local community center and then you're a certified demonologist. Like, no, he's not going to do that. And nor would any like actual demonologist that wants to, I guess, teach people how to do it is not going to do that. So really, I mean, there are people out there, and you can ask Michelle Belanger, and you can ask Bishop Long. How many people out there? I mean, she actually jokes about this a lot. I've seen it where people will call themselves demonologists, and then you'll ask them a question that has to do with some demon or whatever, and they won't know the answer.
Right.
You know, there are people out there who will read the Bible. They think they got this big Christian background, and they know half of maybe what they need to, and they're like, all right, I'm ready to go hunt some demons. You know, and now I'm going to teach other people how to do it because I need the money. And so, yeah, I would just say pay very, very close attention to who is actually teaching the course. And if anybody that is watching this later needs help figuring out whether somebody is actually credible or not, be my guest and contact me or Kim or Becky, you know, whoever you want, and get some advice on it. But I really, really would not recommend getting into demonology unless you fully understand what the fuck you're getting yourself into.
Absolutely. Yep.
And when I was in theology school, we spent like 1 hour studying the Catholic rite of exorcism, about 1 hour out of a semester out of an entire program. And that's as much as we spent on exorcism.
I remember, Scott, you and I went out to a private case because we were going to do a home exorcism. And I think I asked you if you had ever done this before, and you're like, no. And I'm like, great. Like, this is a great. But then I also asked you, I'm like, well, didn't they teach you this at your seminary school or whatever? And I believe your answer was, yes, but they started it with, you're never going to need to know any of this.
Yeah.
But, and then obviously say, yeah. And then obviously, yeah, you did. So, I mean, it's very, very rare, but it's really not something you want to volunteer for.
No.
I'm just going to say that it's not something you want to volunteer for. I appreciate the effort and wanting to help in these matters, but you're probably going to get yourself killed. And I mean that literally. So that's all I had to say about that. Good question, Kim. I like that. Both of you guys have good questions. All right, Scott and Haley, who wants to go next? Okay. Volunteer galore.
I have to see if I have one. I know I have some written down.
What? All right.
Yeah, I was expecting something else tonight. So,
what were you expecting?
Last week you said to come up with those places that would most like to.
Oh yeah, but Scott and Lauren aren't here.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I had planned on.
You're right, and I'm kind of glad they didn't because I completely forgot that was the topic tonight.
I
Whoops.
also forgot that was the topic. So
We're doing really good. Well, you have a reason for that since you're about to graduate college. So,
yeah.
all right. Well, then I'll go. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I've got a question that I wrote down that somebody, I think it was on Facebook, somebody asked this question. And I thought, well, I'm going to write it down and bring it up in the group.
Gotcha.
And
well,
their question was, is there anything out there, that is not supposed to be scary, but it is? Anything
Clowns?
The tooth fairy?
Why is the tooth fairy scary?
They say it is. For kids, it is.
What? No.
I've seen that movie.
Some little thing creeping into your bedroom at night.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's scary.
Leaving you money? What?
You don't. Of course, you would think that.
I mean, he's picking up your room, your littered tooth, while you sleep, and leaving you money for it, and you're like, no, that's so scary.
Yes,
no.
My nieces were very afraid that this little fairy is going to come in and leave money to them, and yeah, they were scared.
They were afraid of money?
They were afraid of the fairy or whatever. Just saying.
I don't know if I can get behind that.
No. I think the point of the person's question was, is there anything that you shouldn't be that you're not frightened of, but you should be?
Oh.
Yeah.
Ghosts? I guess.
Most spirits, most ghosts, most spirits, I would say.
Heights? I'm gonna say Bigfoot. I'm not I don't think I would be afraid of Bigfoot, but a lot of people are.
So I'm assuming that they were wanting like a paranormal response to that question.
Yeah.
So something that you should be afraid of, but you're not. Okay. Yeah, I'd say Bigfoot for me. For one.
I was gonna say, I think whenever somebody is doing an investigation and they think they're talking to a child or something, they should always be a little bit suspicious. Just because.
Child spirits. Yeah.
Because, you hear multiple times all over the place that you think you're talking to some sweet little child, but yet it's actually disguising itself. It's something else disguising itself as a child because we find children innocent and we want to play with them. So, I mean, I think people that are starting out investigating and stuff, they should probably, if they come across that, just keep it in the back of their mind.
Kim?
I think some cryptids you should be afraid of. There are a lot of cryptids out there, different types, and I think not everything is safe. I would say cryptids.
But are you scared of cryptids?
I think some, because they look very awkward, like the rake. The rake looks very. I would be afraid of it. I don't know.
Why are you trying to judge somebody by their looks, Kim?
Right? But I mean, because it doesn't look very nice. That's all I have to say. I mean, how do we know if it's safe? We don't know that for sure.
I don't look very nice, but I'm delightful.
Well, don't compare yourself to the rake. I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is you shouldn't be so vain.
You look better than the rake. There you go. How about that? So.
I'll take that. I don't get complimented a lot, but I would take that.
I'm just saying.
You're no Matthew McConaughey, but then again, you're not a rake.
Right.
So, I could, yeah. Good.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess I kind of have an answer. I think there's a lot of like big stories in the paranormal community, like, like just like examples off the top of my head are like, black-eyed demon children and
black-eyed
the
children,
Hat Man and stuff of that nature doesn't really get to me because I just don't know how much I buy into it, honestly. When there's so much people talking about it, I'm just like, doesn't do anything for me. Might regret saying that, but
I was gonna say until they're at your door, you wake up and he's staring at you.
Right. Yep.
But those are actually two very good examples. I didn't even think of that. Those two, yeah. But then again, I think that depends on your degree of belief. A lot of this is your degree of belief, but I think we can all agree on clowns.
Like we're not scared of them, or they are scary.
Well, I think that we shouldn't be scared of them, but a lot of people are.
Some of them are creepy, though. I mean, some people shouldn't be clowns. That's all I have to say. And then there's some good people that you could tell that they're okay to be clowns, but I don't know.
I think they've been made creepy by our culture. I don't know if they actually are, but
we have a team member who is absolutely terrified.
Well, there's Gacy, remember? So
I was actually just going to say that Dave and I just did 2 hours on Gacy on Monday. So
yep, perfect example.
Pogo the clown and Patches the clown. Both
creepy.
Yes, very much so. There you go. All right, Scott, did we answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Haley, did you want to go or you want me to go?
I can. Hold on. I forgot what I had written down. I guess one that is a little bit maybe creative is and I don't even know if I have an answer for this one, but I know we've talked about like sometimes this has come up on the show before, like spirits might attach to like a house or a person or land or like a certain object. So if you're a spirit, what do you think you would maybe be attached to?
I'm gonna go last.
Okay.
You're always going last. You should go first.
I always go last.
You were laughing.
I always go last because I always talk the most. So I want everybody else's opinions out there before I give mine. I'm very selfless that way, Kim.
Okay. It's your show.
Haley, could you ask the question again?
Yeah. Do you think that there's like a certain object or, piece of land or something like that that you would attach to if you were a spirit? Theoretically, if you were to be haunting people or things or whatever.
Becky, Kim, why don't you guys go?
I would haunt my paranormal friends. That's all I got to say. I would make sure, I would tell them once I die, don't underestimate me going over there and freaking you guys out. Just saying. We got to validate this, right?
That just makes me want to contact Bishop Long and take his course. Because you're going to get exorcised out of here. You're going to put up with that shit.
Oh, I'm not staying. I'm just saying. I'll be gone. I'll just be all over the place.
Stay out of my room. That's my only rule. Stay out of my room.
No problem.
Becky, what about you?
Well, I guess Rhonda, one of my team members, we always joke about whoever goes first is going to haunt the other one. So, just a running joke, make sure you record that, get it documented. But I guess for me personally, I don't know if I would so much haunt and let people know I was there, but I would definitely probably want to hang around and just see what my kids are doing, see who they become.
Oh, yeah.
watch them grow up, you know, because I love my kids. I won't scare
I
them,
fully
I
agree.
promise.
I fully agree with that one, Becky. I like
Yeah.
that one.
We never know if we did good as parents until we haunt them in the afterlife and see what they really do when we're not around.
Exactly. Oh, you have kids like that too? No, just kidding.
I do.
Well, what happens then if you do see all of that and you're like, damn, I sucked?
Then I'm gonna do the whole whop upside the back of the head thing, like knock it off,
I
girl.
was just picturing that.
Well,
Just
well, then we're going to appreciate the investigations that you're going to bring in for us. Scott, what about you?
Well, you asked me that question, Mike, one time when you were over at my house, and I couldn't think of anything that I would want to attach to. But I think most likely the thing that I would attach to, if I were going to attach to something, I planned to be cremated, and I bought my urn several years ago, and I've got it sitting over here. I'm thinking if I'm going to attach to something, it's probably that. And I don't have any idea where it's going to end up after I'm gone, but no, I like this urn. It's really cool, and that's probably the thing that I would attach to. Kind of like being attached to your grave, but
well, they would be your remains, so yeah.
So, but I can't think of anything else. So.
Yeah, I think I would try to attach myself to a mansion in Beverly Hills.
why Beverly Hills? There's plenty of mansions everywhere.
Yeah, but those are like luxurious, and I could be a ghost, living the good life. Well, the good death, I guess you could say. I don't know. Maybe I can hitch a ride in one of their Lamborghinis.
Maybe you should go looking around to find which one you want. Just saying,
Maybe I should. Yeah, when I go out to Vegas, maybe
right.
I'll see about taking a trip to Beverly Hills.
Exactly.
And if I'm pulled over and asked what I'm doing, I'm just trying to see where I'm going to live after I die. that ought to go over really well.
That's what you call leveling up in the afterlife, right?
That's right.
if I can't live the good life while in a body, I'm effing going to live the good life when I'm out of it. Okay.
Absolutely. There you go.
I'll go over to Putin's palace. Here, that's like the most luxurious home in like all the world. So, and I can get a little revenge for the US of A. So, be the death spy would be me. Oh, what a great book. Huh. I should get somebody on that to write a paranormal book of a ghost that gets hired by the CIA to to spy on their people. Oh man, what a great book that would be. So anyway, so here's some follow-up questions I have. Everybody is giving their answers. Do you think that you get that choice of what you want to attach to, of who you want to haunt, of where you want to go? Do you believe you get that choice? Go me.
I was going to say, that's really a hard one because I haven't died yet. I don't know.
That's why I said, why do you think? This is an opinion, Becky. We talked about this.
Yes. Okay. So I think maybe you do, because if you're strongly attached to something in the living form, why wouldn't you in death still have a strong attachment to it? So, I mean, choice might not be like a choice like we think of, like pizza or salad for supper, but it might be the choice of the thing, in the case of the thing that you are the most dedicated, loyal to.
But what if you really don't have what if you don't have an object that really applies to?
So there's nothing in your life that if it was gone tomorrow, that you would be okay. You wouldn't care. Everything in your life could just be gone tomorrow and you wouldn't care about it.
Well, not everything.
So there's something in your life you care about.
There's a lot of things that I care about, but why would I, like, this laptop would devastate me if it was gone tomorrow because it has all of my work on it.
Oh, guess what you're stuck with? It ain't a mansion.
No, it ain't a mansion. But, you know, I honestly, like, there's really nothing materialistic that, you know, as long as it's not pertinent to the living life, you know, like this laptop. Like, I need my laptop. I need a computer to do my work. But am I attached to it? No. As long as I was still able to do my work, this laptop could be gone. I don't know, a Lego set maybe?
What about the picture?
What picture?
The picture, your mom's picture.
What about it?
Aren't you really, like, isn't that something that means something a lot to you?
Well, sure, but I want to attach myself to it. Why would I attach myself to my mom's photo?
It might, but that's the thing, is I'm saying you might not get like the choice, but it might be something that you subconsciously very much care about and are attached to.
I care about my mother. I don't care about the photo.
Oh, okay. I get what you're going. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that I care about, but it doesn't define who I am. I guess is my, like, I care about everything, but there's not really like there's one very specific thing, but I don't think, again, that I would attach myself to it. It's just here because it's a nostalgia type thing I've had in my entire life. But again, I don't think I would attach myself to it.
So then you might not stick around. You might also, your business might be done here and you might pass over and
boom, heaven, baby. First class. I mean, after I messed with you guys for at least 2 weeks. So, did anybody else want to answer that? Because I think just Becky answered that. I mean,
I've only answered.
Do you guys think that you get a choice? And not everybody has to answer this one because it's just a follow-up question. I just want to make sure everybody gets their choice or their chance. Okay. Lively group today.
Well, I think we've kind of talked about that on the show before too.
We've talked about free will. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess my answer is I think it kind of depends, which is my answer for a lot of things. But I mean, I feel like if you could have maybe a negative attachment to something where, you know, if it's really traumatic, then maybe you don't really have a choice. And usually you maybe hope that isn't the case, but I think it probably happens.
The traumatic attachment. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. Scott, Kim?
That is a very good. Yeah, go ahead, Scott. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that traumatic death is the most likely thing to get you attached to something. I don't know that you're. I don't know how much a spirit would choose to attach itself to anything in this world. No, I mean, why attach yourself if you can cross over to something better? No. It's more if you don't know that you're dead, or if you've had some emotional attachment to something like the place where you were murdered, or the place where your car crashed or something, or without the extreme emotional attachment of that type, why would you attach yourself to something? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. What about you, Kim?
So this is why we're paranormal investigators, because we're trying to figure out,
I thought
can you be
that made it
residual?
cool.
Can it be, That too, I guess. I don't know if that's your
Sorry.
opinion, but yeah.
Sorry,
And
couldn't help myself on that one.
and and the thing is that too, and here goes Kim's wildness. I believe, I believe that we can go to heaven. I truly believe that we can go almost anywhere. But I do believe in somewhat like what Haley was saying, that we can get stuck in a traumatic, um, in a sense, because we all of a sudden died, and so there's that residual type of haunting, and so I kind of believe it a little bit until they realize that they can move on or get the help to be able to move on. And I encourage people to bless houses and stuff like that, especially when there's death, for the fact is to help them, move on or whatnot. I think some of that has to do with what we do as paranormal investigators. But yeah, I think I think it went over a little bit, but yeah, I think that we don't have. I don't think we necessarily have to attach to anything, really. I think we can go almost about anywhere. Just saying.
Could be. All right, here's another follow-up question to that one. Great topic. We always talk about, as investigators, if we die, get those recorders going because you're going to get a hell of a lot of EVPs. Becky, you said pretty much the exact same thing we all do when we joke about it. If I die, I'm haunting you. Do you think that we get? I know my last question was, do you think you get the choice of who you want to, where you want to go, who you want to haunt? But do you think that we're allowed, or that we're going to have the capability of actually communicating? Because I was told really early in my paranormal career, the theory of like there are rules on the other side that have to be abided by. I have talked to spirits that try to do it themselves. They try to hold seances and communicate with the dead and everything. Well, then supposedly they're supposed to be haunting these places, but they're not saying a word. Well, if you had, for us, like nothing would be better than to go to an investigation or have one of your friends or have anybody ask you questions and you be able to actually talk to them, give them answers of what's on the other side, especially if you were looking for that yourselves, yet they never come up. So do you think that once we do pass away, are we able to communicate in the way we think we can? I'm really going to have to start playing music. Like, I'm going to download the Jeopardy theme song.
Yeah.
That was a heavy question, Mike.
I know. Well, welcome to the Odyssey Hour, Becky.
We do have to think about it. We want to say the things the right way. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
But yes, I think we're able to.
This is why we need Sam, because Sam just starts talking while he thinks.
He just has an answer instantly, yeah.
Well, right. So, yeah, he just starts talking and then thinks up his answer as he goes along. So.
See, I also do that, but it takes me like 5 minutes to even start. And I still don't have the answer at that point.
Kim, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So, yes, I believe we're able to communicate, and that we will be able to. And I think I want to believe that death is not death. It's just, that's what we call it here. I think it's another stage in our journey. And I want to believe that we were going to be able to speak to anybody we want to, and be able to be with someone if we want to, or just travel. I mean, there's lots of things to see. I don't see. And then there's heaven. Who doesn't want to go to heaven? You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't EVPs in heaven.
Well, I'm just saying, like EVPs, yes, I believe we will be able to communicate. Just saying. I don't see why not.
Becky?
Okay, so I don't think we will. just because of the fact of how come none of us have gotten the answers to the questions yet? I mean, if somebody was able to just out and out tell us what's on the other side, why haven't we gotten that yet? So I don't know what would be keeping us, whether it's rules or whatnot, but I guess that's kind of the way I lean is why haven't we found it yet?
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Becky.
Mhm.
I guess my thought is that maybe it's like, because how we communicate now, you just talk and the words come out your mouth and it's easy. But, in the afterlife, maybe it's much more complicated than that. I don't know, I'm not dead. But I'm assuming that it's probably something's got to be different. And I think that there may be, I've talked about this theory before, but there's maybe kind of a learning curve to it. Over time, maybe it becomes easier for you to communicate. Maybe we just haven't found the piece of equipment or whatever it may be that allows spirits to properly, communicate with us. Maybe we've got, spirit boxes and stuff that use radio waves or what have you. Maybe we just haven't found the right thing yet, but I don't know.
Okay. So Mike, was your question specifically about EVPs?
No, I mean, no. Any sort of communication. I mean, how many times have we asked spirits to swipe their hand through the periscope,
Mhm.
or go touch the antenna on the REM pod or millimeter, or
Yeah.
any piece, or tap a table, just to get the vibrations on the EDI, and nothing happens.
Mhm.
It is that spirits just not wanting to do it, or are they not able to? At an investigation that we did, a confidential investigation that we did, I asked the question while we were doing a spirit box thing. Is this not as easy for you to interact with our equipment as we think it is?
Mhm.
Like, immediately, you got 3 different yeses and 3 different voices. But like, I think I told that story to Chris Fleming, and before I even finished the story, he was like, "Yeah, it is." So I mean, which is it? Is it easy for them? Is it not easy? Is Haley right? Is there a learning curve? And do you have to make that? Do you have to put in the effort when you're on the other side to learn?
Mhm.
I mean, I hate to bring it up, but you got Patrick Swayze in Ghost. I mean, he had to be taught how to do that
Mhm.
shit. He didn't just die and like, start flipping pop cans off the table.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is true.
So, I mean, obviously it's a fictional movie, but
Right.
who knows how accurate it could be once you get over to the other side? Because
Hmm.
I'm with you, Becky. I think we've all had paranormal investigators that we know, Ed and Lorraine Warren. I mean, who would not, if they had the answers now, why would they not come back? Here are some answers for you. But nobody, as far as I know, has. I think there's some hacks that said that they communicated with Lorraine on a spirit box, but nobody ever puts out, that audio. So, I mean, why don't we have the answer if we're able to communicate as easy as we think we are?
Well, and to back up Haley's theory of the learning curve also, when you think about the EVPs and stuff that we do get, I mean, our team jokes about it all the time. We can't wait. How long do we have to wait to pick up an EVP of current day slang? Because usually you don't, you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I've asked the question, is the way that we talk different? Do you find it difficult to follow us because of how we talk? Yeah, I've done it.
Because how long, is there a learning curve? Because you don't get EVPs that are in current day slang.
Right.
Although, like there have been a lot of EVPs with like bitch, and a lot of
Well, that
like.
goes way back.
Does it? I'm sorry, I have not researched the history of the word bitch.
I
So
really don't know.
but yeah, I agree. I mean, and then there's the whole question of whether it's universal language.
Right.
If you're in some sort of neighborhood that was mostly Hispanic and spoke Spanish, do you have to ask your questions in Spanish, or do they understand you when you speak it in English if they didn't speak it? I agree. I mean, I think there definitely is a learning curve, but everybody can understand, like, what's your name,
Mm-hmm.
and then say what their name is. So yeah, and I don't think in my entire 10-year career I have ever gotten an answer to that question, no matter where I've been. I've never gotten a name. And it's like the easiest question that you can ask besides, are you here? And even that, you really don't get. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was saying, oh, go ahead, Scott.
I agree with the learning curve thing also, but I think the learning curve is different depending on the specific soul. I believe in old souls and new souls. And a new soul has a much longer learning period than an old soul does because they've been through it so many times. Now, and there is a certain amount of energy that is needed to be able to communicate with these devices. I think it's easier for them to communicate with people than it is with devices. And I also think, why should they care about these stupid devices anyway?
Right.
They mean something to us. They don't mean anything to them. No.
Right.
Well, they shouldn't be so mean then.
Yeah, but
mean spirits.
But it does take a great deal of energy for them to communicate with us, much less with these devices. And like I said, I think an old soul has more energy than a new soul, and they can communicate with us much easier, because they already know how to do it. That's my twist.
Nope, completely agree. All right, final follow-up question. I didn't have to go. Good, go me. Now I've started to ask the. Well, I don't know if I've actually started to ask this question or not, but it's in my head when I do during investigations. And let's say you're dealing with an intelligent spirit, not residual, somebody who, let's just say, is actually interacting with the equipment, on command. Like you actually feel like you're dealing with somebody that's an intelligent spirit. Do you consider them at that point in time to be dead?
Depends on what your definition of dead is. Because
well, exactly.
Does dead just mean out of the flesh suit?
Well, I see, that's my question is, a lot of us, even a lot of paranormal investigators, they always ask the question, how did you die? Or, everything, a lot of the different questions around that one that deal with their death. But if they're there, they're conscious entities, they're intelligent, they know who you are, they know who they are, they know what's going on. Are they dead?
So I guess from my Christian background, I would say my flesh suit will die.
I say meat suit.
my spirit, my soul will not die.
No matter how hard we try.
You like me, just admit it.
I stand by my statement. But yeah, so continue. I'm sorry.
No, that was pretty much it. That's all I got.
Okay. Anybody else?
I don't really believe in death. I think death is an illusion. Our bodies die, but we don't. No. we continue. Death is a transition, not an end of anything. And when our bodies die, we go home to where we came from, and and we review the lessons that we learned while we were in this body, and get ready to come back for the next time around, if we choose to do that. So I don't believe in death. I think we go on living, just in a different form.
Kim, Haley, anything to add?
Not really. I think I would agree that death is just like another change, or I know like in Buddhism there's kind of the image of one candle lighting another when you die, or when you're reincarnated or pass on into the spirit world, whatever it may be.
Life's
That's kind of what
relay.
that made me think of. Yeah. So I think I'd agree with what everyone is saying so far.
Kimberly?
Me too. I believe in that too. I don't believe we die. I think we transition. I'm a Catholic, and I believe in that. I believe in a journey, and that we go on and we move on and move on to the next thing that we're supposed to be doing. And I really believe that what we do on Earth reflects on what happens to us in heaven or wherever we're going. Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying.
But all right. Well, then I'm not going to make anybody answer this question because we're out of time. But why do so many, including ourselves, still talk to them as if they're dead or ask them about their death? Just something to think about as we go on with our lives. Future investigations, perhaps. But thank you, Becky. Thank you, Kimberly, for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
Especially since it was like 1:00 this afternoon. I'm like, hey, you got something to do tonight? Because I got something for you to do tonight. But thank you. Really appreciate it.
Anytime.
So that does it for us this week. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, wear a mask, get your vaccine. And we want to see you back here next week. So everybody have a great evening.